Hey guys, and welcome to the second episode of Daily Kaylee. Today's episode is about this crazy-ass girl that I went to school with. She ended up stalking me for 3 years of my life. So the story starts in middle school when we first met. At this time, she was pretty much just being friendly, kind of overly friendly, but I didn't think anything about this. This is probably the most mild part of this entire story. So in middle school, we had no classes together. I did not know her personally, but she added me on Facebook one day. I really wanted to say we were like 11 years old, but she would like and comment on all of my pictures, even if it wasn't of me, all of my statuses, everything. And sometimes it was kind of like she was trying to put off that we were closer than we were, which kind of freaked me out a bit. But again, I thought she was just being really nice. You know, at that time, it's a new school, you want to make friends, all that. She would start wearing her hair and makeup like me. And, of course, I thought it was a trend. You know, we're 11. This is a really big time for girls to thrive off of each other. So, I didn't think anything about this until later on, which is why I'm adding this part in here. So, in high school, it was freshman year, we had our first class together. In this class, we still were not close. I still barely had any idea who she was. But she would sit next to me every day in this class. She would talk to me. She would try to hold onto my arm. She would just get as physically close as she could to me. Which, this is when I started getting really freaked out by this girl. Because, once again, this is the first time that I have ever even seen this girl in person. I never saw her in middle school. Nothing up until this point. Throughout this entire year, she was always right there by my side. The second semester rolls around and we have yet another class together, and this time we have assigned seating, so she can't just sit right next to me whenever she wants. But she would constantly yell across the room at me like we were best friends, and it was kind of embarrassing to have some random girl just yelling at you in the middle of class and totally disrupting everyone else and drawing the attention right to you. But I was still super nice about it. I never got upset in front of her. I didn't want her to think that I didn't like her because, I didn't know her. But also, whenever we would have group projects, she would automatically volunteer me to be her partner. At this point, I still thought she was just trying to make new friends. But I was getting super creeped out by the way she would act like we already were super close when she knew nothing about me. We knew nothing about each other at this point. Now, after this year is when the creepy shit starts really picking up. It was sophomore year of high school. We had no classes together whatsoever, which was probably a very peaceful time in my life, if I'm being honest. This is when I started dating Shannon. Everything was going good. But every time she passed me in the hallway, she would just run up behind me and give me this big-ass hug. And I had no idea who she was. She was behind me. So for one, that's a huge red flag to me. And it was just so creepy. She would call me these cute pet names. Well, cute if they weren't coming from her. But she would call me princess and baby girl and all this weird ass shit for someone I do not know personally. And really at this point did not want to know personally, but again, I was being nice. I wasn't being rude to her. I was just letting it happen and kind of just walking away. Later this year, I noticed that she would start copying all of the pictures that I would post on social media. She didn't see me in person that much because we had no classes together. But I noticed that if I would post a selfie of myself, she would take the exact same photo, the same pose, facial expression, makeup, hair, outfit, everything, the exact same. And I thought I was going crazy and just imagining these things, but other people actually pointed these things out to me, and that's when I got really concerned. She would message me all the time telling me this personal stuff that I really had no business knowing because, once again, I'm still going to reiterate this every possible chance I get. At this point, I still did not know this girl whatsoever. We had a few classes together. She acted like we were best friends. But, like, even when we had classes together, I would never initiate the conversation. I would never talk to her just randomly. I really didn't respond with much when she would talk to me in the first place because I did not know her. I never told her any personal information about me. Nothing. Fast forward to junior year. This is when everything just hits the fucking top. This is the climax of the story, people. This is the craziest shit that has ever happened to me. And other people actually experienced this firsthand. They saw this happen every day. Junior year, we had one class together. On the first day of school, she shows up, sees me sitting there, immediately has like a breakdown in the middle of this class because she's so excited that I'm in her class. Literally like screaming at me in excitement, hugging me, runs up to me, all kinds of creepy ass shit in front of everyone, which again immediately draws attention to me, which was probably the last thing I wanted her to do. And then she sits next to me for the entire semester. Which sucks, because as soon as I saw her, I immediately hoped that we would have assigned seating. She sits right next to me, and another girl that I became friends with that year sits on the other side. And I have no problem with her. She's actually one of my closest friends to this day. But this crazy-ass bitch, I had to remove her from all social media because I just could not deal with her crazy shit anymore. So, in this class, junior year, she starts out, again, acting just overly friendly, always talking to me, even when we're not supposed to, and getting me in trouble for it. Like, bitch, I'm not even talking to you, and I'm in trouble for this? If I told her a joke, she would immediately announce it loudly to the class to, like, take credit for it, I guess. I don't know. I didn't care that much because, once again, I was not there for the attention. And I'm much funnier than her, of course, so. But there was this guy that I was really close to that year. We had actually met in middle school and were, like, best friends. And this was the first time that I'd seen him in high school because he was older than us. But once she found out that he knew me and we were friends from before, she immediately tried to be his best friend. She would run up to him in the middle of class and give him hugs and, like, make him be her partner all the time. She would try to message him on Facebook every day. And he would come to me the next day and tell me about this shit. And tell me that she's crazy. Like, even he knew that she was being way over the top at this point. And he did not like it either. But she still did it. Just to get closer to me. As time went on, she picked up more and more of my habits. Definitely on purpose. This is not like the situation where you and your best friend hang out so much that you become like each other. This was her specifically, like, taking mental notes of things that I would do or say, and then the next day coming in and repeating them. She would start wearing the same outfits that I wore, doing her hair the same way, makeup, all of that. And then she started wearing these glasses that looked similar to mine when she has no vision problems whatsoever. Like, I'm talking none. I had blonde hair at this time, and one day she came in and asked me what shade my hair was, and I told her, and she starts looking up blonde hair shades on Google and finds one as close to mine as she can, and then wants to go home and dye her hair this color. She has black box-dyed hair, okay, guys? She came in the next day, and I knew this was going to be a huge fail, but I didn't say anything because, I was already creeped out that she was copying my hair at this point. So, she comes in with some hot roots, guys. She's got orange roots, and the rest of her hair is completely black. I said nothing about this. I literally just held it in. I was like, I am not saying anything to this girl. I'm not going to help her do this. I'm just going to let her go about her crazy-ass self and deal with this on her own. So, She did not go blonde, in case you were wondering. She dyed her hair back because it's impossible to do this yourself without ruining your hair. If anyone out there is thinking of it, don't do it. Just don't fucking do it. Save yourself all the grief and just don't do it. After this, I remember specifically what I was wearing this day because this is the point where I was like, okay, this girl is insane. I was wearing this black and white striped t-shirt with a pocket on it. It's super basic, but I also had on a red and black flannel, which if you know me, that's pretty custom for me. I wear flannel everywhere. But I catch her in the middle of class on this website looking at the exact same outfit that I'm wearing and adding it to her cart. The exact same. I don't know if she knew that I saw her or if she hoped I didn't, but I was like, what the fuck? The girl sitting next to me has noticed this the entire time. We actually have a bunch of text messages that I will read and add them in here at the end. She just flipped a switch one day and went psycho. One day in class, it was probably like a month or so before prom, she asked me what prom dress I was going to wear, and I told her that me and Shannon were not going to prom. Prom is super overrated. I hope you guys know that. I mean, I went my senior year, but it's nothing to be concerned about, I promise. But junior year, we did not go. There was no point. And I told her this, but she kept asking me if I were to go, what type of dress would I wear? So I described my dress to her, what I would wear, and not even 20 minutes later, after the topic is completely finished, I see her again on Google searching dresses of that description. This bitch literally tried to steal my prom dress, people. My fucking prom dress. Eventually, she found out that I had a job. I was working at American Eagle at this time. I mean, I was 16. Like, this was part-time work. But she would call every single day and ask if I was there. At the same time, every day. Even if I wasn't working, I would come in the next day, and everyone who was there would tell me about this crazy girl that kept calling for me. She never left her name, but I knew who it was. I knew. No one else in that class knew that I worked there. The only other people that knew I worked there were people that I was friends with, and they would have my cell number. There was no reason for them to be calling my work every single day asking for me. She would also try to get a job there literally every day. She would talk to me about it every single day, wanting me to give her tips on how to get hired, on interview questions, on what to say. She would ask me to recommend her to my management team. She would literally put in a new application almost every day because I saw it at work, obviously. They would print off everyone's application and I would see them laying on the front desk. Like, I already had to deal with this girl enough during class, and now she wants me to deal with her after school at work. Obviously, I did not tell anyone to hire her. I actually told them the opposite. And I'm so fucking thankful that everyone listened to me and did not hire her. She would also convince me to fill out applications at the same place as her before I got this job, just so we could get hired together and work together, which is what started her applying at American Eagle after I was working there. And of course, I never put in these applications at the same place as her. Why would I do that? I don't know if she realized how crazy that is, seeing as how we literally are not friends at all. But, okay. One day I had to bring my house key to school because I was riding home with someone else and they were dropping me off. And I had it on a key ring with a bunch of other keys. I didn't have a license at this time. I didn't have a permit or anything. But she assumed one of these keys were car keys for some odd reason. The next day, she assumed that I had a car and a license because of these keys that I brought with me. And she started asking me questions about how hard the permit test is, the driving test, all of that, how hard it was. Like, I don't know why you're asking me. I don't have a car. I don't have my license. And then the next day, she came in with this huge lanyard of keys, and one was a car key. And she kept, like, flaunting her keys because she's just so cool that she has a fucking license, I guess. And tries to convince me that she's driving herself home after school because she got her license. And she has to go by Pals to check on her interview. If you're listening to this and you're not from the Tri-Cities and you don't know what Pals is, it's really not important. It's just a restaurant, a local thing. But anyways, she was trying to get a job there, and they never hired her because she's nuts. But she was trying to convince me that she was driving by there to check on her application and all this stuff. And then after school, I literally see this crazy bitch getting into the car with her dad. And she still, the next day, tries to convince everyone that she's driving home on all this bullshit because she doesn't know that I saw her. She used to bring makeup to school because she wanted to copy my makeup look instead of doing it at home and getting it wrong. Like, I shit you not, she would randomly show up to school with no makeup, but she would bring this huge makeup bag full of every product she could find and would look at my face and then do her makeup. And if I wasn't wearing makeup that day, she would convince me to put on makeup with her so we could match. Like, bitch, I don't know about you, but I am not bringing makeup to school and doing it in a fucking classroom. If I'm not wearing makeup to school, I'm not gonna fucking put it on at school. Makeup is not that fucking important, people. I hope you know that. She would also take pictures of us when I wasn't paying attention and then post them on her Facebook page. Just some random ass shit about me and her throughout the day at school. And I would literally not be looking at the camera because I had no idea she was doing this. She would also make some pretty racist comments about the other girl that I was friends with because she had no idea what race she was or what she was talking about. We both just let it slide because we just knew she was a fucking idiot. But how thick can you be? Honestly. I don't know why she thought that was a good idea. But for some reason, she just thought it was so funny. I don't know. She also found out that I had been going to a doctor for depression and anxiety, and I was prescribed medication. And then right after she found out about that, she made up some story about how she was too. And I understand that she could have really been diagnosed. But it's just ridiculous how the next day she comes in with this huge story. When if she really was, she could have told me that same day that I was telling her about mine. I also go on to tell her that the doctors figured out and diagnosed me with bipolar disorder. And she goes and asks me what type, and I tell her type 1. And she does a bunch of research on the internet right there in front of me, and then self-diagnoses herself as type 1 bipolar 2. Which, you can't fucking do that, for one. But also, she just did this to be just like me. Like, bitch, why are you so obsessed with having a mental illness in the first place? This is probably, honestly, the least creepy thing that she did this year. So, I'm just going to let that one pass, I guess. Move on to the bigger things. But, at the end of the semester, I was studying for a Latin final. And this bitch knows absolutely nothing about Latin. She took a fucking French class, I think. Maybe a Spanish class. I don't know. It wasn't important. I'm studying for my final, and she just has to help me study. She completely just throws herself into my plans. Sits on the floor with me. So I made some flashcards for her to help me. And then she tries to tell me that I'm fucking pronouncing it wrong. Bitch, I fucking know how to pronounce it. You know absolutely nothing about this. And I tell her I got it right and she's wrong, and she argues with me. So I was like, whatever, dude, I'm not going to do this. You're crazy anyways. The next day she comes in and completely says this random ass phrase in Latin, and like half of it was wrong because Google Translate does not know the sentence structure correctly, and got like half of it wrong, but like the intent was there. And I was like, okay, like she's trying to impress me, I guess. I don't know what the fuck she was doing, but I literally just nodded and went about my fucking day because I was not dealing with this shit today. I had a final to study for. She was being fucking bonkers. I was done with it. Now, the thing that she did that set me off, that finally set me off, was when she would bring up Shannon. Because I know she's fucking crazy, okay? One day, I was talking to my other friend about Shannon, and she butts in and is like asking all these questions, like, oh my god, how long have you been dating now? All this crazy ass shit. And then I say something about how he's like super attractive or some weird shit, and she fucking agrees with me. out loud. She seriously sits there in my face and agrees with me and is like, oh yeah, he's super cute, he's so hot, like all this shit. This is when I looked at her and flipped the fuck out. At this point, I can't remember what I said. I mean, it wasn't long, it wasn't something like super extensive, but whatever I said to her made her shut the fuck up for the rest of the day. She hardly talked to me the next day, and I'm very thankful that I finally said something to her that made her leave me the fuck alone, even if just for 2 days. So throughout all of this time, there was actually this one time that is still super creepy to me and makes her stalking me even creepier. I was wearing jeans to school, and I fucking hate jeans. I don't know why I decided to do this, but I was going to go to the bathroom and just change into leggings really fast because I brought them with me, because I knew that I would want to change because I suck at wearing jeans. And she somehow convinces me to stay in the classroom and take my pants off and change into leggings. And that she'll hold up her jacket and no one will see me because, I mean, we sat in the back anyway. So, because we sat in the back of the classroom and the class wasn't full yet, I just decided to do it. It's like, whatever. I don't want to go to the bathroom anyways. And the whole time, she's like staring at me, like no privacy whatsoever. And I just like play it off because, I mean, we sit together every day. She's a girl too. She's probably gone through this. But then, a few days later, she's showing me these messages between her and her friends about something else. And at the top of the screen, before she can notice that it's there and scroll past it, she's talking about me. And how she got me to take my pants off in class. And that she did it because she really wanted to see me with no pants on and like weird shit like this. And then says that she thinks that she's in love with me. At this point, I was so shocked that I just turned around and stopped reading those other messages. She noticed before this that they were up there and scrolled through them really fast so that I wouldn't see them, even though I did already. But this was the turning point. This is when I no longer tolerated her. I never thought that she was just being friendly. This was the point that I was actually terrified to be around her. Now, I'll read some of the messages that me and my friends sent about her so you can get the idea of what was happening in the time period. Okay, so reading over these messages, there is just so much more to add to her personality so that you can really get the gist of this crazy ass bitch. For one, she was a serial cheater. She would cheat on every dude that she dated and then go around and cheat on the next dude. She would also try to show me and my other friend her own nudes, like every single day, and then try to get us to show her ours, which of course we were not going to do because that's really fucking creepy of her to ask when we are not close whatsoever. She would also continue to make terrible comments about people. Like, for one, there was a time when she said that being trans was a disorder. But now she claims that she is gender fluid and all this shit. Like, I know that people can grow, but there's no fucking excuse for saying that out loud to anyone. In these messages, it was also pointed out to me by my friend that she would, like, copy statuses that I would make and then post them on her own page. Or if I posted a status with, like, a story from my life, she would copy that story and then, like, tweak a few things and make it her own, which is super fucking creepy and pretty obvious where she's getting this story from. There were also more racist comments about my friend, and the one that really bothers us the most is when she would tell my friend that if she was going to prom and dressing up, she would need to wear a head covering because of her race and religion, when my friend was Mediterranean, okay? Not Middle Eastern. She had no concern to even sit down and research this for herself. She just assumed and made all these fucking terrible comments. It was super uncalled for and not okay by any means. Now, the second semester of my junior year, I actually switched schools. It wasn't a whole new school. It was another branch of my school. But I went to the new campus, and she had no idea because, I mean, obviously, why would I tell her? Like, we're not friends. There's no reason for her to know. But on the first day of the second semester, I guess we were supposed to have another class together, which, thank God that I moved schools. But she messaged me asking me where I was and, like, all this crazy shit. And, like, this went on for the first week of school because I refused to text her back. And finally, I just told her, like, I moved to the new campus. I'm not coming back. There's no reason to keep waiting for me in class. After that semester, though, for my senior year, I decided to move back to the main campus. But she didn't know that. And she actually tried to move to the campus where I was for the last part of my junior year. And she did move there, which, thank God, she already signed up and registered before she found out that I wasn't going there. But on the first day of school on senior year, she also messaged me asking where I was, if I got my schedule yet, and if we would have new classes together. And I told her, I'm not going there this year. I'm going back to the main campus. And she got so upset. Who fucking moves schools just to stalk a fucking girl you barely know anything about? Why is that okay in her brain? This is pretty much the end of the story because I finally got away from her. Over the years, she actually gained a new best friend who she also copied and stalked to the ends of the earth, and they are no longer friends because of it. So I'm not the only one. I know I'm not crazy for thinking this, and I'm just glad it's over with because now I can look back and laugh and be like, what the fuck happened to me? Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll see you next time. Bye.